Shalom Israel. Another quick video giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakah Kadash. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostle, elder bishops, a great millstone. My salutation to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect. Soon to be the elect, most high will to hopefully extend elect shalom blessings. Just starting off, who who rules the world? You know, we've gone over this, the banking families, and Rothschild is one of them, the Rockefellers, DuPonts, the Gettys, and some other more, extended shareholder families like, Walton something that owns Walmart, that owns, AT&T, I forget their names. I had to go into it, the information, to actually get the names, but he's a top, and I asked if Rothschild's associated with the president of Israel, which is Benjamin Netanyahu. Let me see his name. I asked ChatGPT. Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu has, and that's supposed to be Nathaniel, I guess, there's no verification that Benjamin has any financial or familial ties to the Rothschild family. What is true is that the Rothschild family has historically supported Israel, most notably through Baron Edmund D. Rothschild, who financed early Zionists. And, Zionist was one of the main ones that, went into, by the power of Confederate, other Confederate powers, help from other Confederate powers, went into Israel. It's rumored that, who is that? Hitler was a pawn set up to help them get into Israel. Zionist settlements in Palestine in the late 19th, early 20th century, the philanthropy laid part of the foundation for the modern state of Israel. Later, and then you see use his name, Lord, I'm not going to call him that, Jacob Rothschild and related family foundations continue funding major Israeli institutions such as the Supreme Court building and the Knesset. That's it. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Netanyahu, as Israel's long-serving prime minister, has acknowledged and praised their contributions, occasionally meeting with Jacob Rothschild in that philanthropic context. These links are public, ceremonial, and charitable, not political and financial partnerships. But, and let me see. So they do go back to the Germans. They go back to the Greeks, the Ottoman Turks. They Edomites as a whole. They just go by different names, different terms. As we know, the Rothschild family continues to live primarily in Western Europe, specifically the United Kingdom and France. That's who colonized America. Basically the British colonies, and that's a part of the beast, as well as the United States. So they live here too. While many historic estates are now managed by trusts or museums, family members reside in various private homes with notable concentrations around London and Paris. And we talk about that all the time in the scriptures. And our people don't understand, like Trump and the political leaders over here that's set up, they've been set up by these people, banking families. And like it says, they have a tie with Israeli powers, people, dealing with these primary elected officials, whatever you call them. And they still operate by um, royalty, the means of royalty, but they have a federal system set up, orchestrated, organized to control the people. So um, and that part of Israeli part of them, they claim that they the real Jews and not, but they're not. So there's a very powerful system that is ran, and people in America being dumbed down, they think it's just yes, that's why they can accept a president like Trump or you know before him Biden or whatever that, and they accept mistakes like cracking the White House because it's so watered down here in America. They're not called royalty over here. They're not called kings and prime ministers over here, or what do you call it? Princes and all that, and princes and princesses. But they do over there in London, in England. So, but the exercising is still the same with the powers over here because it comes from them. So, you know, and I think I looked that other one up. Where they originally from? The Rothschild family is an Ashkenazi Jewish dynasty that originates. So how can they not be have any ties with Israelis? These people are in the Frankfurt ghetto in Germany. The family name is derived from the house Rotten Child at the sign of the red shield. So, and the apostles, elders talk about that. Red shield mean red child. They know who they are. They're the Edomites, which means red, out of Wam. They're the red children of the Bible. And they're also considered the devil that the Bible speaks of. Built in 1567 in Frankfurt, where the family lived and began their banking operations under Mayor Amschel Rothschild, 1744 to 1812. They're the ones who's ruling all these precincts, these organizations, whether as these facilities, these banks, these whether they have to do with, even music, even sports, Olympics, all that. They control all that. TV, movies, theater, all that. They control it. And everything is linked to these banks. So like if you're a Hollywood actor, you get paid and you put money in your bank. Well, you're putting money in the bank of these bankers. And when you have small banks swallowed up by the big banks, the big bank people are the Rothschilds. Small banks is like some people that, kind of branched off and had their own bank. Like I think Walmart got swallowed up. Washington Mutual got swallowed up by, if I'm not mistaken, what's that bank? They go by Ferguson, Wells Fargo, I think. And I'm gonna learn a little bit more about that, how the little banks get swallowed up. And I know kind of roundabout way, but it's kind of like if you got money and let's say you have a business, shack business, a mom and pop store, and then somebody say, well, yeah, you say you just got into business, and you be like, it's going pretty good. And then, and then the worth of that business is probably maxed out. Like, let's just give a number of 100, even if it was $1 million business, let's say that. But, you have another banking kind of system or, whatever, financial club or family, and they say, well, we'll give you $5 million. Well, he gonna sell that, but they're gonna own all that property. So they're gonna have to go elsewhere to buy more property or somewhere else. But they still got 5 million, so they're gonna try. But let that be a Negro, Latino, Native American. They're gonna downplay what their property is worth. They're not gonna give another, but they'll give somebody of their own stature or their own kind 5 million. But they won't give a Negro five. They'll downsize and say, well, we'll give you 500,000. I mean, we'll give you a little bit over 1 million, like us. And they was like, well, yeah, that's a little bit more money than it's worth, so I'll take it. They sold BET, they sold Soul Train in that same fashion. So that's all they have to do is control and get into the narrative things, which they do, and raise gas prices, raise rent and all that, and Jake will move around. And that's how a lot of this, the housing and the system is structured. They don't really have to do anything. They could just change the, raise the taxes, raise the rent, and people will follow accordingly what they have to do. So if they want to change, gentrify an area, and have another type of people move in, you have an all black ghetto, and then they say, well, we want to reconstruct the ghetto and we want to live there now. They'll raise the rent, and they'll do whatever they have to do, and then they'll move in. And now what used to be a ghetto or project is now a royal state property. So that's how they do. That's how much control they have, and people don't understand that. Our people really don't understand that. Women don't understand that. This is capitalization. It is a power system to where we divide it. So we're not we don't have any money in a system like that. We don't have a banking system, family. We don't have a royal estate. We don't have Jake could barely get rights to his publishing, and when he becomes an artist, or that Michael Jackson and Prince thing. So if they're rich or they got a lot of money and they can barely get their royalties, their publishing, whatever they want to have them have great access to live comfortably, how you think we gonna do the shit, man? And then you'll have a woman pressuring a regular Jake, talking about, yeah, you need to live. I'm nigga with 6 figures. You gotta live like a celebrity and shit. These celebrities are fucking going through it and shit. They losing money. They broke. So that's why we don't believe that BS that they be saying, that they don't have no wisdom, no knowledge about anything. That's what's going on. But you could look them up. What is it called? And then, knowledge is free right now. I mean, yeah. And then you can even look up their family tree, but and they're the mafia. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, David Rothschild, Solomon Rothschild, I think. Then you have the Rockefeller family. They all tied in together, and they're brutal people, of course. You could even tell by the photos, like, these are the straight evil devils, monsters, and these are people who rule the world. So that's why we keep telling you, the wicked are in authority. But the Bible tells you the wicked are in authority. And when they're in authority, the people mourn. The Rothschilds and the Vatican, historic financial partnership. See, they got partnership. Now, you can't be a partner with Jake, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't have enough money. You don't have enough, you don't have a banking family, all the mom and pop businesses, you don't really see too many employees there. You see like 3 people, 4 people. So imagine if Jake wanted to run a whole company and all black people, like they always say, black people need to come together, black love and black communities. Guess what? That ain't gonna prosper. Because Jake has never been taught business and never been really trained for that, kind of thing. They don't have any knowledge, and you know, of course, niggas gonna be late. They wanna, break on stuff. Like, you do that with the so-called white people, they gonna fire your ass. You might, you know, lose somebody in your family. They say, well, when can you get back to work? It ain't no excuse. Jake don't make excuses because he know he gonna get fired by them. But that be his own people. He'd be like, yeah, man, why can't you let me off, man? You selling out and all that. So it's always gonna be that. And long as it's that, Jake ain't gonna come together. Ain't no black communities. All that stuff that they talk in the celebrity world about black love and black community partnership and all that. That's done under the, on the foundation of the banking families themselves. That's why Cohen owns, uh, manages a great part of the music that comes out. That's why you hear about Jerry Heller dealing with NWA. That's why you hear about Clyde Davis dealing with all these artists, Whitney Houston, and Shaka Khan and all them, and the male artists too. So where there's a real Jew, there's a fake Jew, and that's where you have to discern and draw a line and say, well, something's going on there, because there's always these two aspects of this relationship. You know, one's real and one's fake, but we know who rules the world. We know who the fake is, and we know their position and the power that they have. Our people don't know. Our women don't know. So it it's really becomes destructive and catastrophic for our people not to have that knowledge and not to consider these things and live by these means, live by these things that they know. So a lot of our people are finding out, but they don't know how to go about it, solving the inner issues of their surroundings when they live in these projects and ghettos. And it has to be a outside foundation of wealth or some financial stability that they look upon, just like it was with Martin Luther King. But you see where that led our people. And he said himself, he led our people into a burning house. Same thing with Malcolm X. So, the rulers of the darkness of this world, man. And we got, the scriptures, the wicked on authority, people mourn. Uh, um, the secret counsel of the wicked, rich men in the scriptures, Esau himself in the scriptures. That's who these people are. So, yeah, hopefully it was edifying to the next video. Shalom.